Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at overloading functions. So in our previous video, which if you haven't seen, I do recommend taking a quick glance at it if you are curious as to what this code does. However, you don't necessarily need to understand what it's doing to pick up on what we're going to go over, which is how can we use this code in a way that makes our program more flexible. So with overloaded functions, we are able to reuse this join function here that we've built. So how do we do that? Well, if we tried to just rewrite this join function exactly as it shows here, the compiler is going to say we've already defined this function with the same parameter types. Now that last part is the key distinction. Same parameter types. So that means it will accept a function that takes different parameter types. And as if you may recall, these are our parameters. It's the values that go into the function. So we can modify this code to not have the same parameters. So in this case, we're only sending in one parameter. And we can put this code in there. And the only difference here is our separator value. If you recall, our join function is just combining a list and creating it into a string. So here, what separates each number in the list is this separator value, but maybe we just say by default it's a space. So now I can call this function join without the separator. So here in my argument call of this function join, if I take out this parameter, now I'm just running this code. This function call now points to this. As you can see, it highlights in green. If I bring the parameter back with Control Z, it's highlighting this one in green. So we've overloaded the function because we've used different parameters. If I put this separator parameter in here, we get the red underline right here. Same parameter types. So that's function overloading. And that can be nice if, say, I want this function to accept integer arrays, not just integer lists. Well, that is pretty easy to do as well. So let's copy this over, and instead of a list here, let's put an integer array. I'm going to rename my variable here iArray. And as we see here, we have just changed a couple of parameters, a couple of details. We changed one parameter and we changed the name of the variable that's coming in. And already we have workable code for an integer array, which is great. We've implemented this large amount of flexibility right off the bat. So now I can build, we can use a message box here, and instead of using an integer list, we can use an int array. And let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's use the message box here to show we're going to run both the integer list and the integer array through these join functions. So there's our integer list, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our integer array, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Both using the join function here. Just one join function is this one, and the compiler knows which one because we've given it the parameters here. It knows if the second parameter is a list to use this function, and then it knows if the second parameter is an array to use this function. So that is operator overload. And if I take out this, then we're using this function. Excuse me, that is function overloading, not operator overloading. So here we see the green highlight there, the green highlight here, the green highlight here. So those, even though all these functions are named the same, using different parameters, a different parameter, these are arguments here, throwing in different parameter lists to each function, I'm able to overload the function. So one more time, we'll run the code. Perhaps for good measure, we'll put a breakpoint at the start of each method to see what's happening. So here on our first message box, we get thrown in here and we see integer list. So int list Messagebox Show displays here from this function. Now we've just run this line of code. As you can see, it's highlighted in gray. And now we're inside this function. And now our integer list without the separator parameter just has spaces because of our default separator value here that we replaced in the previous function. And now the gray message box highlight there is running and we're inside this function. And now we see integer array runs here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's an easy way to kind of conceptualize and understand how to use function overloading. And that's all we're going to cover in this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Take care.